To the August 18th, 2020 open session meeting. The official time is 6:08. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order and need a approval of the agenda at this time. I have a motion. I have a second.
Chairman.
I have a second.
Second. Who made the motion?
Jonathan made the motion, correct, Jonathan? Jonathan made a motion. Tommy made a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Ayes have it. All right, our chairman do the prayer. He might not be worthy on it, having a potty mouth a while ago. I'm going to open up in the prayer. Let's all pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much. You bless us in so many ways. You forgive us on the times that we slip up and say the wrong thing. But you know what our needs are with our community, dear Lord, through these troubled times in our country. And we lift those needs up to you to oversee our shortcomings. Dear Lord, we ask that you be with our law enforcement, our EMA, our military, because they're getting pushed to the limit right now on seeing to our everyday needs. But dear Lord, we ask that you be with this board as we make hard decisions on behalf of this community, that we make the right decision in the days to come and in the future. But we ask for all these blessings and all these prayer requests in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
We move forward and move with the consent agenda approval for minutes. We had the first Tuesday of August 4th, 2020, and we had a call meeting on August 6th, 2020. Everybody's had an opportunity to look at the minutes, so there's no changes. I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead. So move, Chairman.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Kitchens, all in favor? Aye. Let's have it. Well, we'll move on to new business. Commissioner Pitts, you've got Patriot Day.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Since we're all in the need of prayer, Mrs. Deborah Hall, she's hosting a Call Out America 2020 Patriots Day. It's a prayer service on September the 10th at Carroll's Park at 6:30. So I just wanted to make sure that the commissioners, they knew about it, make sure the public's aware of it, and hopefully they can attend as we pray for our military, police, and just our community as a whole, because you said it earlier, it's much needed. And I just want everybody to come, participate, and just continue to pray for our country. And that's all I got, Chairman.
You're muted, Chairman.
Y'all like it when you can't hear me, don't you? No other business on Patriots Day. We'll move solar zoning ordinance. Commissioner Kitchen.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner. Send out an email on that, reminding everyone, and put it on their calendar. Chairman, the solar zoning ordinance is something that we've talked about the coalition for the better part of the last year. We've worked with UGA, Georgia Tech, Emory University, and several of the surrounding counties to come up with a draft ordinance, and I think it's been approved by the 7 counties and 11 cities surrounding us that make up the Clean Air Coalition region. And so what they're asking is that we take it to each county and each city independently. And so this is just a draft ordinance that basically says we will adopt an ordinance for the ability to allow solar in our community, whether it's residential, commercial. So I think this is to adopt the draft ordinance, and then we will need to come back to the details on it, because each one is going to be need to be catered to the county that it's in, because our requirements are obviously different than surrounding counties and cities around us. So, and I'm thinking that Tim Petrowski would be heavily involved with that. So I would just ask that we adopt a draft ordinance So it's a fill in the blank ordinance saying that we will allow for solar to be implemented in the community as needed or where needed.
I'll go again talking to myself. Any questions for Commissioner Kitchen?
I did review the draft ordinance and I didn't see any issues with it.
Okay,
There.
so we're good?
Okay, I didn't know if you heard me. There are minor things that will need to be tweaked to apply to our county. Mr. Petrowski, certainly he needs to review it, but I saw no problem with the model, what I would call a model ordinance.
All right, so we need a motion to adopt the model ordinance with revisions.
Mr. Chairman, I think Tim very politely has his hand raised here on the thing. He might have something to share.
Okay, go, Mr. Petrowski. Mr. Petrowski, you got something you want to share with us?
He's still muted, Jason.
Tim, I think you're good now if you can hear me. It looks like he's unmuted now.
Okay.
Now, can you hear me?
Okay.
Sorry about that. I think a better course of action is that we begin the text amendment process, CLDR. Then I will take it through the planning commission and come back with all the appropriate sections filled in and a ordinance ready to be incorporated into the zoning ordinance at that point.
Okay. Commissioner Kitchens, you want to, you got that figured out on the motion, how we need to do a motion?
Chairman, I think we talked a little bit about it. Tim's concerns on that. I think what we're looking to do is have some, on a second level, we're trying to get through the federal government, actually put some money towards some grant services and stuff like that for solar projects in the next budget year. With that being said, we'll need to be able to get in front of them second part of November, end of this year with that. So I would hope that we would vote to approve a model ordinance, and then we can still go through maybe Tim's talking about go ahead and adopt a precedence to go through that motion now, but actually come back and adopt the ordinance at a later date. If we adopt a model ordinance today, all the cities and counties adopt it, which is what we're pushing for in the Clean Air Coalition, to have all 20 of our cities and counties adopt them, the model, then we can go to the federal government and say the Clean Air Coalition is 100% on board for doing it. We need money to help do it. Tim, is that a possibility to vote before the model ordinance to start the process, and then maybe motion to adopt a model?
You couldn't adopt a model zoning ordinance. It cannot be part of our zoning law unless we go through the process. If you're adopting some kind of standalone ordinance, that would be one thing. But to amend the zoning ordinance, we have procedures we have to follow. And we could get that done before the end of the year. If we made a motion tonight, I would have it before the P&Z board in September, and it would come to y'all in October.
Okay. Tell me how I need to, so I need to make a motion
to begin the text amendment process of the CLDR to draft a solar zoning ordinance.
And I think Commissioner Kitchens, is the purpose of this model, I guess what we'll call ordinance, is really not for that to be word for word our ordinance that we incorporate as is into our ordinance, but for us to sort of stand with the other counties that we are implementing this. Is that more of the intent as far as tonight?
Correct, and I do think, us voting for the text amendment process to start, I think we'll get there.
Will satisfy that?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, Sam, you want to start with your motion on the text amendment?
I will, and hopefully Tim will correct me if I don't state it right. Make a motion that we begin the text amendment process for the CLDR.
Correct.
For a solar ordinance.
All right, we have a motion, if that was said right. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, thank you.
Give Tim just a second in case he has some other comments on it. It looked like he was trying to say something.
No, sir, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to new business tonight. Contract for veterinarian services, Mr. Resner?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As you know, for many years, Dr. Moore has worked with the county and our animal services department on a variety of different things. In recent years, he's not been in the best of health, and so we have talked with Dr. Gadd here in Gray, and she's talked with Dr. Moore. He is ready to kind of step aside from those duties. Jennifer and I met with Dr. Gadd a week or so ago, and talked with her about the various things that go into that role, and agreed on a price, and so that information is reflected in the contract for veterinarian services that's in your packet. There are a couple minor changes there that we'll want to make and go through legal review with Ashley there. But with all that being said, I would recommend to the board approving the contract for veterinarian services with Dr. Gadd, subject to legal review.
Any questions for Mr. Resner? Then I'll entertain a motion for veterinarian services.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a second?
I'll second, John.
Second. Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Or two, aye. That's all, Sam.
Aye.
Hey, Lon?
Aye.
All right, all ayes. That's good. Gotta love this online. We'll move to 4 tonight with business. Seasonal worker for golf course, Mr. Goen.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to table that, please, to the next meeting.
Okay. We can table that, quick motion to table for the next meeting.
The table number 4, seasonal work golf course to the next meeting, Chairman.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I heard everybody say aye. Ayes have it. Yep, there we go. There's one more came in. Suicide Prevention Month, proclamation, Mr. Resner.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Deputy Lloyd Smith sent this to me and asked if the board would consider adopting this. As you know, there's a suicide prevention coalition that's been working actively in Jones County, along with University, and have stakeholder involvement there. So in your packet there, you have a Suicide Prevention Month proclamation. I'm happy to scroll down through the packet and put that on the screen if that helps. So, or if the board so inclined, I would recommend approval of the Suicide Prevention Month proclamation.
Mr. Resner? If not, entertain a motion.
Chairman, be happy to make a motion to, for the Prevention Month proclamation by the chairman, and I hope that, all the other commissioners will get involved, and really get the word out. And, most of us know, we've all known or been somebody, really good.
Motion, we have a second.
The second.
Second, Commissioner Pitts, any more discussion? All in favor, aye? Ayes have it, thank you. Move to number 6 tonight, our census update, Mr. Resner.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I think Joy Corner has been able to join us, and Joy has really spearheaded our outreach efforts here in Jones County. And so if it's okay with you, I'll hand it off to Joy and let her give a quick update. While she's doing that, I'll scroll down to the point in the packet where we've got some information about response rates in Jones County.
Jason. So as of today, it's the health census maps are updated daily at 3 o'clock. As of today, Jones County 62.0% for self-response rate. State of Georgia, we're at 59%. We're edging up 0.1% every day. A couple of days self-response have tapered off, but we have the self-response rate very early on. I think fourth county in the state to do that. So for that, there are a couple of things, of course, based on COVID and adjustments that had to be made. Originally, the self-response was extended to October the 31st. And on August the 3rd, we were notified that self-response deadline has been shortened to September the 30th. The census response period has been shortened to September the 30th. So on August the 9th, census workers, those door-to-door enumerators started going around. I don't have a count of how many are in Jones. I was talking with one of the census reps late this afternoon, actually about an hour and a half ago, and she said they're out there, but I can't tell you how many are in Jones. They are going door to door, and they're just right now at this point reminding people. They're leaving flyers on doors. They're saying, hey, be sure to complete your census. And, of course, there's still one of two ways that you can do that. You can do it online at my2020census.gov, or you can go to 2020census.gov. It's going to take you to the same place. You go through the response questionnaire, and that's all there is to it. Or you can call 844-330-2020 and speak with a representative to complete your census. I do want to share with you, there was some false information that was reported just over the weekend. Let me get back to this. There was some inaccurate information that circulated over the weekend about red zones and census takers not going to households in particular areas. The original source of that information has apparently issued a retraction, but some people have not yet seen that retraction. So I do want to clarify that those census takers are out there, and there are no places that are off limits. If your address has not submitted a census, they will knock on your door and they will leave you a flyer and they will leave you the instructions. At this point, Georgia is, I believe, 38th in the nation for our count. Y'all, we still have some areas, we still have some counties in Georgia that are at 25%. So we are very, very low as a state. But, you know, Jones, we're doing okay. I think that there was some information that Sam had shared with me from ACCG, you know, about ways that you can get out in your community and still, you know, build the census up, still talk the census up. And, you know, going through that checklist, we've done a little bit of all of this. We've posted through social media, through the different social media sites, you know, in some of the local pages, just trying to promote that competition between some of the census tract areas, and that really there at the beginning seemed to help. Talking with faith leaders in different churches, I've met with the ministerial I still have hand fans for any out there that might want some hand fans if they're meeting out outside, or you know would just like some for an event. Incorporating the census back into any community events, back to school events. We packed 1,200 book bags with school supplies at the end of July that were distributed at the beginning of August for kids. In each one of those bags, there was census information. How do you complete the census? So we also, during the summer, did census flyers and coloring books out with the meals that were going out from the school system. Before school ended, the school system sent out letters to each family and did some one calls for us. So all of that has been done. Asking businesses, you know, through the chamber, we've talked to different businesses, encouraged them to put information on their receipts, just however you can get the word out. So we've done a little bit of all of this, and of course, always Debbie has been great with the Jones County News and covering the census. So I believe I stated to her last week, so should run in this edition. This update for you all, that you know, especially highlighting the fact that we've shortened that time frame up, and September the 30th seems to be the deadline date now. So if you have any suggestions, you know, anything that you think we can do to promote and get a little bit more out of it, I would certainly appreciate any responses. Basically what that number boils down to at this point is there's an estimated 10,744 people in our county that have not been counted. Okay, obviously these are just estimates, but based on previous census data, we're looking at a little over 10,000 that have not been counted. That translates into about 4,000 households that have not been counted, just under 4,000 households that have not been counted. So we've still got work to do, and we've got a short period of time to do it in. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moore. Is there anything else on the census, Mr. Redner?
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to comment real quick that I think I remember from conversations with Joy way back that sort of that southeastern census tract in Jones County has always been difficult to count. I think traditionally that's been one of the areas where we get the least number of responses, and that's kind of what's showing up on the map that's before you there and flagged out this year. So, you know, whatever we can do to really spread the word in that sort of southeastern census tract there would
Be great. Anybody else on the census tonight?
And if I could just speak to this for just a second too, it is still one of our lowest areas. that traditionally too is a low area for, or high area for renters. And so, traditionally, those who are renting properties are undercounted, and children are undercounted, and the elderly are undercounted. So those are some of the things that we kind of look at and take into account in those particular areas.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Carr. There's nothing else on census. We'll move on tonight.
And can we, add this to the agenda on each meeting just to remind everybody going forward until the end of October?
Sure. Anything else? All right, if there's nothing else, we'll move on tonight to number 7, the CARES Act funding. Mr. Risner, you're busy tonight.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So I wanted to give the board an update on the CARES Act funding, and you've probably seen a lot of emails from ACCG and other information about this. So this is funding that came from the federal government, from the Federal CARES Act to the state. There was a direct allocation that was given to certain cities and counties if you had over 500,000 population. So there are a few of those in Georgia. And then there was a distribution formula for the remaining cities and counties based on your population. And so our share of that funding is $1.33 million. And so sort of the overarching idea there is that it was supposed to be used to pay us back for expenses that we incurred fighting COVID-19. And so we've sat in on some ACCG webinars and read various information that's been put out. One of the things that we've learned from U.S. Treasury guidance and from ACCG is that all law enforcement and EMS, our salaries and benefits are considered to be substantially dedicated to responding to COVID-19, and so you can be reimbursed for those. So, in talking with Levita, our preferred approach is to submit all that information. We only have 2 weeks on this, so everything has to be in by September 1st. If you were going to buy things directly with the money, you had to have that done and in by September 1st. So really, yesterday we tried to do our first upload to the portal of some salary and benefit information. They just sent us $399,000 as soon as we signed up for the portal. They sent us that money. That was our advance portion. So that was 30% of the total. There's another 70% of the total that we can get as we submit documentation. Really, we can get our full share simply by submitting payroll information. And so that's kind of been our preferred approach to this point. You could go through and submit individual expenditures for sanitizing spray and any number of other different things, having the buildings cleaned and masks and PPE and that type of thing. But what ACC has recommended, given the tight timeline, is that you submit that payroll information. And so that's sort of the first piece of it, is I wanted to give you an update on that. The other part is sort of thinking about what you want to do with that money. So after we submit that payroll information and they send us the money, you're going to have that, and you've complied with the CARES Act requirements, because those salaries are eligible for those funds. So you don't have the compliance piece will be very easy, because there's no continuing obligation there. So if you go out and said you wanted to take that CARES Act money and, buy 10 temperature scanners, you would have to track those 10 temperature scanners for 7 years, as an asset that you bought with federal funds. By just submitting the payroll information, we don't have to worry about that compliance piece. And so, but you're going to end up with the 1.33 million. Frankly, we don't have anything close to that in the way of unbudgeted expenditures, sort of through normalized through the eyes of the Treasury. We do, but so I just wanted to ask the board to kind of think about and any ideas about what you might want to do with that money. I've had a few requests, or things that have been mentioned as potential uses for it that are related to COVID. One of those is the ionization devices that's on the agenda today. Some temperature scan stations. The port, the Okmulgee Circuit. All the various counties are looking at technology upgrades to be able to conduct court in a whole new fashion, given what's going on right now. So those are a few of the things that have kind of been thrown out there. I don't know if on those potential expenditures, if you want me to just bring those to the board one at a time for consideration, or one of the things I wanted to get some feedback on is sort of what sort of process you guys wanted us to use in terms of purchasing on those things and approval of those. So I've rambled a lot. I'll stop talking and answer any questions that anyone might have.
You don't need our blessing to use the payroll. I mean, you can go ahead and do that. You need a motion on that.
I think we're good on that. I think that's really the only option we have.
I think that's the cleanest and quickest too, Jeremy.
Yes, I do too. That way we can take and utilize it like I'm saying several things out, that we can use it for to make our buildings even safer. Any other comment?
I would just say for the other we got coming back, just make sure we prioritize things that are directly related to, the temperature scanners, the ionization, stuff like that is directly to.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments?
Would y'all want me to bring those purchases to you kind of as they're brought to me, or how do you want to handle that?
Well, I'm sure we have to use our purchasing policies to, because I'm sure like the proposal for the facilities, it would be over our amount. So I'm sure we'd have to go through a bid on our purchases policy on that, correct?
Yeah, I think probably so, unless you wanted to, treat it as some type of emergency. I think Ashley just unmuted. She may have something on that.
Now, we'll tell you the biggest challenge is finding somebody that can get it in a timely manner, because everybody in the world, all the schools understand, y'all are doing them in y'all schools, aren't you, Mr. Kent?
Yeah, biggest problem right now is product. Everybody, you can find the installation piece of it.
Right.
I would think on the bid price, it needs to go on RFP. I mean, it's been going on an emergency all of a sudden.
Right. Sure. Any other comments on CARES fund? Ms. Ridley, you can just bring us those as we come along, yes, and present them to the board.
Okay. Sounds good.
If we move on, there's nothing else on the CARES funding. We'll go COVID precautions in county facilities. Mr. Ridley?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. In your package, you had a request from the tax commissioner about masks in the government center, and requiring those for entry into the building. I think we've got a couple of offices in the building that are asking people to wear masks when they come in those particular offices. I think he had contacted all of you and asked if you would consider making that required as people come into the building. And then the other thing that I think you and I talked about some, Chairman, was temperature checks for employees, just making sure that's mandatory and for all the employees.
I think that temperature check's a very important part. You know, talking with the people in the medical field, that's your first telltale sign of somebody that's possibly coming down with a corona or COVID is a temperature spike. So I think it needs to be mandatory, because I think some of our departments have access to it, but they might not be using it like they ought to. I think we need to have some sort of tracking that all employees are getting their temperature tested before they start every morning. I don't know how to do that, but I think it needs to be in place. What's y'all's thoughts?
But yeah, we do that at my job every day, and I guess the only question is, I think you kind of posed it, who would go around and take the temperatures, and if somebody has an elevated temperature, you know, to send that person home or to some medical care. I don't know if that's something that Jason would have to do, or we have Don do it, or do we have somebody from the health department come by?
Chairman, we do the same thing, and I know Dayline does too. But anytime you go into a building, you have to take your temperature where we're coming from. And I think with us, it's going to have to be each department has to do it. And I think I sent Jason the form similar to what we use. And basically, you can put it in Microsoft Forms, and people just go in every day and put their temperature. Now, what we'll do is like in my office, I got 6 people that one person tests the temperature of all 6 as you come in the door. If it's over 100.4, you got to go back home. I think that's we really need to do that.
I guess it was posed too, Jason, that maybe that the deputy, you know, when people, I guess it would have to come through the front door, and he could check it, but I don't think he gets to 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's correct. And I believe he's doing temperature checks now, kind of as people come in. I mean, at least in this building, we've been trying to, I don't know that employees get checked as they walk into the building, but we have been trying to make sure that everyone's checked early in the morning.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good process for visitors in the building. Everybody's checked at the desk, but employees, I don't know.
Do we have enough face mask availability if the event citizen comes up and doesn't have a face mask? We can furnish them a face mask so that they can take care of the business.
I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if Don is on with us or building maintenance. I know has been able to purchase a mask as well. I'd have to check on that to say for sure.
I just, I know that there will be people, I know I've been guilty of it, that would come up not realizing they have to have a mask, and, it'd be nice. And we've got some of the CARES Act funding we could probably use to make sure we furnish them with a mask so that they wouldn't have to return home or try to find one and not make it an inconvenience for them.
If the county puts a mask mandate in place, then we are going to have to, under the governor's order, make reasonable efforts to distribute free masks to individuals who state they can't afford a mask or don't have a mask available. So if we're going to have that in place, we're going to have some of those little disposable ones available.
Okay, that answered my question.
Yeah, we should, in all honesty, we should have that anyway.
Is there a motion on the floor for the mask and the temperature?
Well, and we have got to address the fact that, we cannot restrict persons from being able to enter to go to polling places. So if they're coming in, for that purpose to vote, and they are refusing to wear a mask, we cannot restrict them from entering and going to a polling place. They cannot be denied ingress or egress from a polling place for failure to wear a mask. Everywhere else they can. I mean, they can be, we can have that requirement, but if it's their purpose, their visit to the government center, if that's the purpose, then we cannot require that for that purpose.
That needs to be exempt in our motion, but at that point, social distancing will obviously be the next step of precaution. Ms. Brody, do you have any way you want us particularly to address the motion for the mask and the temperature?
Not so much as far as the language in the motion, but we're just going to have to ensure that security at the door, if they're telling somebody that you can't come in because you don't have on a mask, if their purpose is to vote, or to go to the voting precinct, then security needs to clearly understand that that person, mask or not, needs to be let in.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion on the two requests on our precaution for the county facility?
So, Mr. Chair, I made the motion that we make it a requirement that anyone entering the government building must have a mask on, with the exception of going to the polling or Board of Elections, and also make it a motion that temperatures are checked for all employees on a daily basis.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Robinson. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye? Ayes have it.
Chairman, before you move off of COVID precautions, do you want to perhaps entertain another motion that if we're taking their temperature, but if it's over a certain, a certain mark, what happens? If it's over, I think somebody mentioned 100.4, are we sending them home at that point? Just so we have it in the form of a motion.
Is there a health department standard that we need to meet on that? Or is it no?
That's the CDC recommendation, I believe, or DPH. I would stay consistent. Let's go with it. Yes, send them home immediately. Employees.
I need a motion based on the temperature of employees sent home to the high temperature.
Let's clarify that. Sent home for how long?
If I would think if they were getting a temperature spike, they would also want to be checking, make sure they weren't, possibly coming down with corona or COVID. That would be a hindrance coming back to work.
This is after they've been cleared by the medical professional or the health department?
What are y'all doing at Macon Bibb? Are they just, what's a good?
Yeah, well, there's a different for businesses, schools, governments. I mean, there's the guidelines on it, and I can send them to Jason, and it's pretty clear on, how long you need to quarantine if you test positive, what you need to do if you hadn't tested positive, if you do test, how do you do a contact tracing, all that kind of stuff. So, most of the people that I've seen are just following the health department, PH guidelines, which come down from CDC. Don probably has those also. But I can send them to Jason. So we stay consistent.
couldn't this be done administratively where,
Yeah, we can make a motion to adopt the, CTC guidelines for reestimate. Because there's different levels. If we go to a high situation, levels than a low spreads. The recommendation of all of the CDC guidelines.
second, any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you.
So,
Go ahead, Ashley.
Chairman, before we move on from the discussions, so are we, if they have a fever, requiring them to be tested, like an automatic, requirement at that point for them to be tested, the employee to be tested for COVID and then implement the CDC guidelines, or?
Yes, because they're exhibiting symptoms of COVID.
Okay, I just sort of wanted to be, Debbie had a comment there in chat, so.
Anything else on COVID precautions before we move on? All right, go ahead, I hear somebody.
Did we make a decision on the request for masks?
Yes,
Yes.
you voted on it. All right,
Was just making sure it was in there.
yeah, you got mask and temperature.
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal. Well, let's, number 9, ionization proposal for Paris County facilities. Mr. Risner?
And that's what we just mentioned there, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like we probably need to issue an RFP for that. So maybe if the board so inclined, a motion to issue an RFP for ionization proposals for county facilities.
And Jason, I'm sorry, I think that's what I was commenting on earlier and thought that that's what you all were talking about. I agree, the RFPs need to be issued. When I made the comment about, it's not an emergency, this has been going on for a couple of months now, we can't really claim, that it's an emergency and not send out an RFP.
Chairman, I've been working on this same project for some time now. As far as I can tell, there's only 2 companies that are going to bid. That's everything we've gotten. I'd recommend, based on the timeline of getting the equipment in and getting it installed, that maybe we go with the 2-week advertisement if that's possible.
All right, that's your motion?
Yeah. 2-week advertisement on our RFP for bipolar ionizations in our ACU countywide.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else on ionization? All right, on-call policy, Ms. Wagner?
Okay, so we talked about the on-call policy, in the work session, and I wanted to make the recommendation for the changes that we spoke about.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so, we have a problem with the salaried employees, especially during the holiday weeks. So the changes would be to make it where only hourly employees would be able to be on call.
All right, comp time, okay. Anything else on the comp time policy?
This is the on-call policy.
Excuse me, on-call policy, and jump down one. In it was kind of a lengthy policy, we're gonna adopt the, based on what was presented in the session? Or was it that? Don't have it in front of me, but.
Jason, can you put the on-call policy back on the Okay, so the on-call policy would be designated for animal services, building maintenance, public works, and the water department. And they would receive 1 hour of on-call pay at their regular rate for each day that they're on call. And if they are actually called in, they will be paid for hours worked.
All right. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the on-call policy that was presented in the work session? Any questions on it?
No questions.
Anybody want to make a motion to adopt the on-call policy that was presented through the work session?
Motion to adopt.
A second.
Second. Is there any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Wagner. You're still up. Comp time.
So the next policy we spoke about in the work session is the comp time policy. And we need to make some changes to the comp time policy. Either we get rid of it completely or we come up with a different way, but again, the comp time, it's a problem when our salaried employees are working during the holiday weeks.
Was there anything that y'all wanted to tweak on that comp time policy? Was that the policy that Jason needed to add or change on?
Did you need to add or change? No changes.
You can scroll down to that.
Right here.
Two things. Right now.
Jason, which policy was it that there was, Commissioner Kitchens had brought up a point that you were gonna add in? I thought it was to the comp time policy.
It may have been. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
And I'm trying to remember what the point was.
It was a very good point, Commissioner Kitchens.
You forgot what he said.
Oh, it was regarding if an employee has comp time, are they gonna be required to use that before they can use other leaves? Was that it?
Yeah, and to make sure that, we're real clear that nobody will lose comp time that they've already earned, because that's their time. But, just since we don't pay it out, if somebody had 80 hours and they decide to retire, resign, or whatever a month from now, just knowing that we're not gonna pay that out based on the FLSA, requirements, they would need to use that instead of annual or 60 first.
Sure.
Right. Only time we would have to pay it out is if an hourly employee were to leave.
So I think I've got let's see, I had a provision that says any comp time earned, by salaried exempt employees as the option is policy may be used by the employee with approval of the employee supervisor.
Okay.
I just
I think that might cover part of it.
Yeah, I just want to be real clear. So if somebody's got, I don't know, 500 hours of comp time, that they don't lose that time. I mean, they earned it in faith that they were going to be paid for it. And I want to make sure that they don't lose it. They don't accrue anymore. They don't lose it either.
Right.
Should the next sentence there say any unused accrued comp time shall not be paid out upon termination or retirement?
But we have to pay it out for hourly employees.
Yeah, I'm talking about the, salary.
Yeah, they lose it anyways now.
Right, but we just have a termination. I mean, really, there's more than one way for them to end employment. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but how would, if they're not, by FLSA, not allowed to accrue comp time, how would they, I mean, are we saying we're going to allow them to accrue, but we're going to pay it out when they retire? I think if we stop allowing it to accrue, we need to pay them for what they in good faith earned. Whether it was right or wrong, we allowed them to earn it. I won't agree to take it away from somebody that's already got it. I don't care if they leave tomorrow or they
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying take it away from anybody. I'm saying when employees leave and they have comp time on the books and they're hourly employees, we have to pay them their comp time at time and a half. I'm not saying take it away from anybody.
Right, but the way this reads, if we have a salaried employee right now that has 500 hours and they decide to leave tomorrow or the next day, they're out of 500 hours. Because it says we will pay them.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have never paid out comp time to a salaried employee.
So we allow it to accrue, but we don't pay it out. If it's illegal to accrue it, or if it's illegal to pay it out, it's illegal to accrue it. Right?
I think, so there's sort of two different kinds of quote unquote comp time. Comp time is probably not a good, it's not good verbiage for what we give to salaried employees. Really, you're just, if you search for comp time online, everything you find is FLSA comp time, and we've had issues with that before. We had a federal Department of Labor investigation dealing with all this, and gave them boxes of material, and that was a couple of years ago, but really what we give to salaried employees is just an additional benefit. It's not time in the eyes of the FLSA. It's not illegal to give it to them or anything like that. It's just a benefit that the board has seen fit to give salaried employees through time.
So I think that's why I think that I mean, I don't know how else to put it other than if somebody works for us right now, right, wrong, or indifferent, they've acquired comp time and they shouldn't have it or shouldn't or can't be paid out for it. I don't believe if they can't have 500 hours of comp time, they've earned that comp time. We shouldn't take it away.
Can they apply for
That's a policy decision that was made Board of Commissioners way back. I mean, it's not anything, not a recent, development.
But I just think it's a direct conflict of what we're doing. And so maybe the right answer is to require to use comp time instead of annual or sick leave, which is, I think, what we were talking about.
I agree.
Tested earlier.
Right. I'm not saying they'd lose it. They stop accruing it and use it. But I'm saying when they leave here, if they still have it on the books, we don't pay them out. That's salaried employees. I guess I'm arguing the fact that we've done wrong up to this point.
Well, here's I'm scratching my head like Commissioner Kitchens. If I worked and had 500 hours of comp time and I decided I was going to retire and could I apply that 500 hours of comp time to finish out my retirement?
No, that's not in any kind of plan that we have with ACCG.
How they going to get it then? Just take a day every week of comp time until they use it up?
Well, if somebody has that much comp time, I'd say that somebody's abusing the comp time policy. I mean,
I know. I got friends working for the state. That's what they've used their comp time for. And I don't know. I guess not being there, never having dealt with comp time, I guess that's I'm scratching my head on that. How do they get it? What would be an average comp time for an employee?
I don't think there is, Chairman. I think the problem we got right now is from allowing comp time to salaried employees. That should have never happened.
Right.
Right. Well, if they got it, they need to start using it.
Yeah, I agree. I think they just put a wording in there that if this is adopted, it also means that if you have comp time, you use that first. It's not by FLSA, we're not allowed to pay it out. So we got to use it first.
All right, you want to do that in the form of a motion on the comp time policy? I'm not trying to provoke you. You've already got it started.
Well, you done poked me now.
You already started on it.
Ashley, you want to say something?
Where did we stand? Shannon, had they already started making a motion on the comp time?
That.
Okay.
No,
So you would need to include everything in your motion, Commissioner Kitchens.
Okay, make a motion that we adopt the comp time policy and adding in that any accrued comp time to salaried employees now be used prior to annual or sick leave.
all right, we've got a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Martin. Is that correct?
It was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Robinson. All right. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Ayes have it. All right. Favor, you're still on. We've got take home vehicle policy, another work session item. Can you move us down to that?
Okay, so in the work session, when we talked about the take-home vehicle policy, we know that we have a problem since we haven't been reporting the IRS. So I think the majority said that the vehicles needed to be parked until we're in compliance.
I think there's also a mention said of giving them a date, giving people time enough to acquire transportation if need be.
Okay.
Chairman, I did have one question that I didn't think to ask in the work session. That's, what about I know they're one-off, and it's not a take-home for emergency call or whatever, but when you have like, I'll take, code enforcement and recreation. There are times where they are, called to instances on the weekends or, recreation, especially when we have games that go till 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes they're able to shift schedules around, but when they're not, if they are allowed to do it, I think they would be subject to the 3-day rule, and that would satisfy the RS guidelines, right?
Sam, I could only hear part of what you were saying.
I was asking if, like, just using recreation or, code enforcement, on the times that they do get called after hours, because, they would, what if they were exempt employees and they don't get overtime, but they're not emergency on call all the time? Would they fall under the, 3-day rule? I just use, code enforcement. We only have one person in that department. So if there's a call after hours, that person has that call. There's not a take-home vehicle for that department. Would that be, that's something we need to look at as far as the IRS, code for the $3 a day.
Shannon, does environmental code ever go out after hours?
And the years I've been here, I don't know of any.
To my knowledge, Commissioner Kitchens, and there may be even some other slots that it may apply to that you all need to discuss, but to my knowledge, environmental code does nothing after hours. It would all be during the work day. But like you said, there may be some other departments you want to discuss.
Yeah, well, that's strictly complaint driven. So you got a logging company that's dragging mud out on the road, and you get a call on a Saturday morning. Are we just going to wait till Monday when it dries up and there's an issue that we worry about it?
That would be the sheriff going out there and telling them to stop. In my past history, I would put any mud on the road when I was logging.
And out the answer to that now, Commissioner Kitchens.
Commissioner Kitchen, I would think if it was like a timber industry that they were bringing mud on the road, the sheriff would be out there stopping them for safety reasons. That was always my experience. I don't know.
I'm thinking about that position in the recreation department where we don't have anybody on call, but we have games that go on at 10 o'clock at night. So either Matt's having to swap hours to get folks to work at 10 o'clock at night, or, are they not taking vehicles home at 10 o'clock at night or showing up? I'm asking.
I don't think that's is that an emergency situation?
No, it's, that would be on call for an emergency situation. We're talking about take-home vehicles, I thought.
It's recreational.
They just had somebody.
Yeah. From what I understand, they're not on call. That already just has the schedule where they're working.
Mm-hmm. What's the board's wishes on take-home vehicles?
I just think there's two different, definitions there, an on-call take-home, vehicle and a take-home vehicle policy. I think we don't charge the person $3 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Do we charge the on-call person an hour every day of the week? Do we charge $3?
Sam, I can't understand what you're saying.
the on-call person for a department, do we charge them $3 a day for the take-home vehicle?
No,
So that's two different issues. An on-call person and a take-home vehicle is two different issues. And I think we're satisfying one with the need of an emergency call, and the other one is the IRS situation we're trying to settle, the $3 a day vehicle deal.
With the recreation department, if they are going to check on a game and in a county vehicle, are they scheduled during that time? I mean, would that be part of their schedule that they're
yes,
working from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. so that they wouldn't be off work coming in, correct? They would be in a county vehicle during their regular.
Matt's schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the board's wishes on this? Is there gonna be any action tonight on this?
If there's not, we definitely need to say, we have to do something about the IRS situation.
I would agree this situation needs to be done either way. If you're taking home a vehicle right now without an on-call person, still a $3 a day regulation.
Anyone?
I couldn't understand.
Somebody's trying to come in.
I was saying, Chairman,
Okay, drop it. Can't hardly hear you, JP.
just have some questions that we need to work out. Okay, I'm sorry. I was saying we may need to table it because Commissioner Kitchens just has some additional questions for us to work out, unless the board is willing to accept the policy that's in place and maybe making an addition to it at a later date.
I couldn't hear Sam's. What did Sam say?
I was saying that I think there needs to be more discussion on it, but I do think we need to fix the IRS issue, the $3 a day. So my recommendation would be, if you're not on call and you're taking people home, it's a $3 a day. But we do need to determine what the on vehicles are, what the need is for the vehicles. And I think there's a couple that are not on here that may or may not need, not everything, but if never have, if they're not allowed, then if the need's there, they don't have the vehicle.
So, as we suggested tonight, we could take a vote on $3 a day for take-home vehicles that are being used by employees that are not on call.
Yes, I'd support that all day.
And that's the IRS requirement, right?
Yeah. Commissioner Kitchens, when on your vehicle policy, I'm making a bid. If you live outside of the county, you couldn't take home, correct?
Right. In consolidation, when they consolidated, it went to the county limits. Before that, I think it was a 25-mile radius.
Is that something, is this something we need to table and bring back in the next meeting with the changes? Because I think personally, I'd like to see some limits put on $3 a day. It's, if we got. I haven't even got a phone on and it's picking up. How's that happening?
I have a motion to table this to the next meeting while we clarify the policies with Shannon and Jason some time to work out some of the details.
Sure.
And Commissioner Martin, it would actually be a motion to postpone till the next meeting because we're not gonna bring it back up this meeting. We wouldn't be tabling it.
Motion to postpone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? None, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did we get all ayes? I didn't hear nobody. I heard two. Okay. I think we got it, didn't we, Ashley? All right. Sorry about the phone call. I got a granddaughter keep trying to FaceTime me. Gotta love it. I love them FaceTime. But, okay, GPS policy, Ms. Wagner.
Okay, so the last policy that we talked about in the work session was the GPS policy, to put in place so we could go ahead and award the bid for the GPS system.
Jonathan, I think you were trying to say something, but we couldn't hear you. I think Mr. Martin was trying to say something also. Any questions on the on the GPS policy?
Chairman, Tim Petrowski's name looked like it was trying to talk, but I don't know if he's trying to say something.
I was just gonna ask a few questions or about directly, but if we're gonna have a work session on it further, we can do it then.
Okay.
Got it. All right.
What's the board's wishes on the GPS policy?
Did JP have something?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Kitchens, what'd you say?
I thought Jonathan had something that he was saying.
Second. Yes. I was thinking that we was in a good place when it came to the GPS policy. We was looking at implementing some type of safety incentive program for the employees. So I thought we was ready to go on this one.
All right. Did I hear you say second? Do we have somebody make a motion I didn't hear?
No, so I think Tim had a question. I think he was thinking was gonna have.
He'll save it. He'll save his question.
Or feel like we need one, so I was gonna let Tim answer his question.
Yeah, I think Tim had some on take-home vehicles, so he'll address them at the workout. If nobody makes a motion and Johnson seconded.
Made a motion, but Johnson seconded. Somebody want to make a second?
How about I make the motion? We move forward with the GPS policy.
No, Chairman.
All right. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, we all ayes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Burnley Wayside Auction Building Repair, Mr. Risner.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to get some guidance from the board. We've been approached by the current occupant there at the Burnley Wayside Auction, and he's requested some repairs to the roof and to the electrical system. The board had previously voted to dispose of that property at the end of the current lease. And so with that, in the not too distant future. I just wanted to get your guidance to see if there was any interest in making these improvements to the building at this point. We did have a roofer take a look, and there were a couple areas that he thought he could work on. And I think the price he gave us was about $2,800. Not sure what sort of electrical issues might be there that the occupant wanted addressed, but just wanted to see if there was any interest in doing any sort of improvements to the building at this point, or if we should just wait until the building is disposed of through sealed bids.
I think I like the idea of selling it because we've got one more month left on this lease, and then we're looking at selling it. That's my idea.
I agree.
I agree.
I would say, I said something to Jason, time is on the essence, because the gentleman that's in there, obviously, if he's gonna bid on it, he won't want to be moving his stuff out and then coming back and bidding on it. So I think if we could get the bid out prior to his ending of his lease, that way he don't have to go through the expense of moving out. And if he is awarded the bid, move back in. That way there's a knowledge of what's going to take place then. That's just my thought.
So that said, Chairman, can we go ahead and start the bidding process now by sending it out?
The board actually voted to proceed with that, and a couple of meetings ago, as I recall, I think that's correct. And I've talked with Max Davis about doing a survey of the property and carving out that back piece where the well is located. So he's working on that now.
Right. I did touch base with Jeffrey about making that county well and using for putting the meter on it. He said he saw no problem with it. All right. So no action on the building.
None.
Can I get that? Let me get that in the motion so it's official.
Make a motion that we do not make any improvements on the building.
We have a second? Second. Commissioner Robinson, any more discussion? None. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I think I heard everybody say aye. That's good. Move on to old business. Ward GPS bid, Mr. Wisner.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So this is the same thing we went over at the previous meeting. We received 20 proposals. We had 7 that gave us a web presentation. From those, we selected 2 to send us demo units, and we've been trying those out. So our recommendation is to go with InView Telematics. We have contacted references on them and checked up on the product that they're proposing to use as well, and received very positive reviews on both. So with that said, happy to answer any questions. If there are none, I'd recommend awarding this to InView Telematics.
And we got a motion for the recommendation of the award GPS bid.
Make a motion that we award the GPS bid to InView Telematics.
Mr. Robinson, I heard you come in also. Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Ayes have it. Here we go. All right. Department heads, Mr. Risner, you going to start us off tonight?
I've done a lot of talking tonight, Mr. Chairman. I don't think I have anything else.
I figured you'd say that. You've done a good job. You've had your plate loaded tonight. You and Shannon both.
Thank you.
Goins, you still on tonight? Any other department heads? citizen comments. Any citizens tonight like to make a comment? Mr. Risner, open up the lines for any citizens like to make a comment.
Mr. Chairman, I have one thing tonight.
Don't identify yourself for the record.
Mr. Chairman, this is John Wood. I have one.
Jason, if you can get everybody where John can be heard.
Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody, and then John, I'll turn it over to you. Hang on just 1 second. Okay, John, I think you're good to go now.
All righty, thank you, Jason. It's John Wood, Oliver Green Road. Back in July, I understand, the government center had to be closed for a, COVID suspect outbreak, that sort of thing. That was handled. I know the government center opened back up August 10th and been closed approximately 2 weeks. I had a number of vehicle tags to renew that were due on July 31st. During the closed period of time, government center was closed. And my question is, I went up on August 10th, the day of the opening of the government center, and the line was, as somebody would say, almost a country mile long around the building, or out the front door around the building. I made three attempts that day on Monday to go up and renew tags, and viewing social media, the wait was 3 hours or more or less. And so after the third attempt, I gave up getting in line that day. I returned on the 11th of August, which is a Tuesday, and made 3 attempts that day. And finally, on the third attempt, after lunch, I got in line. I waited an hour. It's the shortest I had seen the line all week. And I waited my time, went in, followed all the good little guidelines, and went to renew my tags. And I was informed that I would be paying late fees and that the county only gave 1 day's grace period for the 2 weeks that the government center had been closed. And so that was it. There was no other grace period. 1 day to catch up 2 weeks of work. And I'm seeing a lot of people in line, a lot of people out suffering in the heat, waiting their turn. And I'm just asking what the position on the county is. And it took approximately, 3 days seeing lines around the building, outside the door and around the building. And obviously these people that were in line had business that was due prior to the opening of the government center, and some maybe, on those days. But what is the county's position on late fees during that period of time? Because I know back on the first COVID outbreak, late fees, extensions, deadlines were all extended until people could, properly come in and handle the business, and the county could accommodate. And, one other thing is, I know there were limited staff, but when I got into the tag office, there was 2 employees in there, and they basically looked at each other when I walked in the door. Are you going to help this one, or am I going to help this one? And I'm thinking, why can't we socially distance in the tag office and be helping maybe 2 customers at once? And then when you're finished, you go out the back hallway and circle out, and that way you don't cross paths with anybody that's possibly waiting. Just a couple items. I just wanted to get y'all's take on it. Thank you.
So, Jason, is there anything we can do to, waive those late fees?
It seems like I remember early on in this, tax commissioner was able to, there was some type of resolution that he brought to you for consideration to do that. I'd have to touch base with him and see how exactly that works. I can't recall, but it seems like something similar was done earlier on in this pandemic.
We can't address this in comments anyway, as far as any sort of motions to resolve it. Perhaps we place this on the next agenda and have the tax commissioner speak to how his department handles things, catching up from those 2 weeks.
That would be great. We'll reach out to Brian, see if he wants to come to our next meeting and agenda, and maybe he can share with the public meeting of ideas on trying to expedite what we're doing right now.
And when COVID first started, we actually did, say that we were not gonna charge late fees while we were closed, so just wanna remind folks of that.
Well, let's go ahead and put that on the next agenda so that we can discuss it, and if we need to make any decision, we can then.
I agree, Chairman, because we've had the water department closed for a while too for the same issues, and I just hope we're being very generous to the customers that are having to deal with the same. I mean, everybody's dealing with the pandemic too, so I don't feel in any way right to charge late fees or penalize anybody for a situation none of us can control.
Right. We'll have that on the next agenda. Thank you for your comments. Any other subjects tonight? Jason, when I unmute you and give everybody an opportunity.
All right, I'll unmute everyone again. If you don't have a comment and are able, you can remute yourself as soon as I unmute you.
Anyone tonight? Any citizens? Mr. Robinson, you want to start us off tonight? Mr. Robinson, you want to start us off tonight on Commissioner's comment? Tommy's not on there anymore, is he? Well, we're looking for Commissioner Lawson. Commissioner Martin?
Yes, sir. Real quick, is he back? When I had a chance to go check the trail out that Matt had cut in over there on 49, and it was a rough cut, and it was an interesting ride. Now that the high school is actually moving forward with putting a track officially at the high school, we want to give the board's permission to reach out to the National Scholastic Cycling Association about putting an official mountain bike track out at 49 to give it what it needs in terms of the proper design, and then making that an official site and destination for Jones County. There are only maybe 6 sites in the state that actually have a certified track, and it typically attracts anywhere from 900 to 1,000 middle schooler and high schoolers when they do have race dates. And I sent you guys videos last year when we did it in Baldwin County. But just an opportunity for us to continue to leverage that site. If you have not gone down there, it's worth walking in. Got a bike, it's worth biking in. Don't do it after it rains because it's difficult. And then on another note, last year we started minimum housing standards, and I know we probably paused some of those things, but wanted to bring that back up on our next meeting so we can start to move forward with some of those items. And then on the workforce development side, we're still actively going after the out-of-school youth. So if you all have any of those that still need employment opportunities, please let us know so we can bring someone in to address those. And if we have some partners in the school system and other community agencies, please let me know as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Morning, Commissioner Pitts.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just want to bring up two things I'm going to share tonight. I'll be sending you more information about it in the weeks to come. A broadband designation. That's something that I'd like to see us do. We all know that connectivity and broadband is something that's important to all of us here in Jones County. So there is a designation that we can apply for. So I'll be sending some general information on that and work with Jason and Greg Borkey at the Regional Commission so that we can look at pursuing that. And while you guys allowed me to serve as the appointee at the NACO annual board meeting, they mentioned something called a cash vest. And what it is pretty much an analysis of our finances, and there may be some revenue opportunities for the county. And I'm going to get with Jason and Levita with the cash vest rep to determine if that's something worth the board looking into. So those will be two items that'll be on the agenda, and I'll be sending you more information over the weeks to come. And other than that, Chairman, I just ask everybody to be careful, be safe, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Pitts. Commissioner Kitchens?
Chairman, all I have is just remind everyone that on the 29th of August, we're having the river cleanup up at Juliet. If anybody wants to volunteer, I'm sure we'll be glad to take any volunteers. Other than that, I hope everybody stays safe out there. This is confusing. I'm ready to get back to in-person meetings, mask up or whatever we do.
I am game. This is Commissioner Robinson. We've lost Commissioner Robinson. All right. Well, if there's nothing more on Commissioner comments, I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Chair, I made the motion to go to executive session for personnel.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let's have it. Thank you.
All right, I'll do the same thing I did for the previous meeting. I'll send everybody to the lobby. If you guys, I just want to stay there, and then when we come back out of executive session, I'll bring you back and we'll